What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well. And yeah, we had a very expansive week last week as we've moved into the month of July. I will just quickly check the news releases. And I do know there's a lot of news this week, so I am looking forward. One of them being CPI. So we have high impact news tomorrow on the Fed Chair Powell testimony. We have a speech on Wednesday, quite boring. But then we have CPI on Thursday with jobless claims, and then PPI on Friday. So I am looking forward to this week. I do believe there's going to be a lot of volatility. The fact that most of our news is happening at the end of the week means that we're likely going to see a lot of consolidation and slow movement moving through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But generally speaking, with this kind of displacement to the downside, moving to the new week, I'd like to see another down close week, meaning that I want to get the high, try and get made Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the low get made Thursday, moving into Friday. So based off that, we can use that to try and frame where we want to see price draw to and the potential PD arrays it's going to move off of. So we're going to start on the weekly, and you can see that we have an inversion fair value gap that formed after last week right here. So let's just get that drawn out. This is a weekly inversion fair value gap, IFVG, and price should treat this with respect in that it should respect the 50% level of it, because it should act as a bearish fair value gap basically. So that's why I'm looking for this to provide resistance, meaning that midpoint is going to be the very highest. I'm happy to see price trade on a daily basis to then expand lower. Now, if we are bearish, that means we should be looking for lows or imbalances in the discounts trade to. The closest low is obviously this one right here, so let's get that delineated. And then I'm also looking at the midpoint of this long wick as well, so let's get that drawn out like so. So we got consequent encroachment. We may find either resistance or support found here, and I'll put weekly consequent encroachment. So if you watch last week's videos, you remember me saying I want to see the low of the month get made because I was expecting an up close month. Now this is still relevant because I do still want to see an up close month. Just because we had this kind of displacement at the beginning doesn't necessarily mean we need to be bearish for the entire month. So we do need to be careful with that and understand that we may see the low get made this week, assuming we are still bullish on the higher time frame. If you haven't yet watched my up to date range video or my from last week, definitely go check that out and you'll have a better idea of what I'm talking about. But generally speaking, for this week, I'm looking for a down close week based off last week's displacement to the downside. It's just that I'm marking out the consequent encroachment as our first target, and if we trade through that easily, then I'll be looking at this as south side liquidity as well, in which case I'll probably change my bias and I'll be much more bearish on the higher time frame as well. But generally speaking, right now I have my eyes set on this consequent encroachment. So let's drop down to the daily, and we're going to look around these prices to try and find some PD arrays that price may want to draw to. So we have these lows. This is a daily low right here. So price may want to draw into that, and you'll see that lines up nicely with our weekly consequent encroachment as well. And you can see that weekly inversion fair value gap also has a range right here to try and fill. Now remember, this is Monday, so I'm not counting this, but I'm looking at this midpoint moving into Monday to provide resistance. So I don't want to see us rebalance with this wick here. I'm happy for us to rebalance with this low, so we'll get that marked out because it will be a sensitive price point. However, ideally we don't rebalance with this because that will show a level of bearishness that can help frame the rest of the week. So let's go to the 4 hour, and you'll see there's a bearish order block right here that we wicked into as we just opened. But again, as I was saying, price may want to run up and rebalance with this level right here. You'll see there's a fair value gap between this low and this high. That's the very highest I want to see price go. I doubt it's even going to get there, but we shouldn't ignore it. Again, looking at that midpoint, so I'll keep that delineated for us like so. I'll be watching that very closely when we do start trading into the premium. But ideally, this low is going to be the highest we go, just because again it will show bearishness, which is what I'm looking for to help us reach for this south side liquidity target. So let's go to the 1 hour, and you'll see how we gapped higher very recently. Now I'm not going to talk about that just because I'm not going to talk about it because this is Sunday's trading, so I don't really want to count that right now. But moving into the day of Monday, let's just get these all marked out real quick. So there's our Sunday opening, Monday opening, Monday's here. Ideally, I do want to see a continuation lower. So I wouldn't be surprised if trade moving into the new day, we just saw straight downwards price action as we moved into London and we start reaching for that discount PDRA, being the sell side liquidity here, and then that consequent encroachment. If price is heavily bearish, it will trade through it, and then moving into Tuesday, we'll reach for that weekly target. But generally speaking, moving into Monday, I do want to see us trade on lower. Now, if I want to see a down close week, that means I want to see the high get made on Monday or Tuesday. So it's fine for us to trade down on Monday. That just means, let's say we have a down close day on Monday, that just means we can anticipate a potential, swing high being made on the Tuesday. So that's to take into account. But obviously we let Monday trade and then we can start thinking about all of those details. So that's going to be everything on dollar. I hope that all makes sense. Really, I'm going to get rid of that premium because I was saying that this weekly level right here, this is the highest I want to see price trade before we take out this low. After we take out that low, we'll have to reevaluate. But what I'm saying is that this weekly inversion fair value gap, the midpoint, I'm paying very close attention to it. If we do get above it, we're likely more bullish than I realize, but ideally we just, respect it. So that's everything on dollar. Let's head over to GBP USD. We'll start here on the weekly as well. And you'll see how much of a bullish week we've had after Friday's non-farm payroll. So there are pretty obvious targets for pound, being these highs right here, relative equal highs right here for buy side liquidity. And then we have another high over here that will likely get ran as well. And then once we're in that high, we're reaching into this range over here, but we can talk about that on the lower time frames. So again, if we're expecting an up close week, we want to see the low get made on Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Where can we key off price? Well, we have this huge wick right here. If we split that up into a range, we can use these levels to help us navigate. So we have the consequent encroachment here. That should be very relevant, and we'll see how price acts around that. And then we also have the 25% level if price wants to go into that much of a discount. But generally speaking, I'm looking at these two levels as support levels to create the low of the week to then expand higher and run for our buy side. Now, don't get me wrong, if Monday does have one of those days where we do just run on higher and run straight for the buy side, and it is typical for the Mondays after non-farm payrolls to run. If that happens, then we'll likely create the high and then come down to create the low and then have another reversal throughout the week. So do be mindful of that. And it would not surprise me at all if price did, choose to do that and just run straight for these highs, clear those stops, and then start thinking about digging into some kind of discount. But generally speaking, this is that midpoint from that huge wick, pretty much the lowest I want to go. And if you look closely, you'll see there's an implied fair value gap down there as well. So I'm not expecting us to trade into this on Monday necessarily, but if we are going to create a low, this is where I'm going to be looking. Let's go to the 4 hour. And again, ignore this candle. That's the opening price. But you can see how bullish we're trading on upwards. So I'm looking to see, can we continue and reach for that buy side above here? And then I'll be expecting some kind of reversal. And then for price to start looking to create the low of the week. Again, this is that daily implied fair value gap. You can see there's just a clear consolidation there. That should hold support. Let's go to the 1 hour. And again, it's clear consolidation. So yeah, moving into Monday, I wouldn't be surprised if we just kept seeing price push on higher, in line with dollar, essentially moving on lower to that consequent encroachment. And then I'll be watching closely to see, okay, do we get the reversal, etc., etc. So I hope that all makes sense. Definitely have these levels marked out in your charts, guys. It will help because you can see our price is drawing to these levels and switching intermittently. But nonetheless, let's finish up on Euro USD. Now this is quite a quick weekly review, to be honest, but that's not a problem. So again, large bullish candle. If we're expecting an up close week, we want to see the low get made on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and the high expand through Thursday and Friday. The expansion happened Wednesday through Friday. So with that in mind, what can we look at? Well, we have another inversion fair value gap right here. That gives us a midpoint, and this midpoint is the lowest I want to see price trade to create the low of this new week. In terms of the buy side, we have a clear weekly high right here. And then we have another weekly high up here. So we have two bullish targets to trade into. But remember, I was saying price may want to just run straight up first, find resistance, retrace, create the low, and then trade on higher. So we do need to be careful of that kind of price action, especially coming off a non-farm payroll Friday. So let's get the midpoint of this large wick marked out, just because we may find that price doesn't reach all the way into this high straight away, but it may reach to it's going to reach to some kind of level, and the consequent encroachment is one of those levels that could be easily be used. So we'll have that delineated as well. On the daily, you can see, again, ignore this day. but nice big strong close on the up close. Gaps are wicks too, so if we draw that out, you can see we've closed above the midpoint of this wick. The fact that we closed above it is showing bullish behavior to me, meaning that I think I'd like to see it provide support to then run to our next target, which is that consequent encroachment. And what you'll find is that consequent encroachment just happens to line up with a bearish order block on the daily. So again, if we do see a continuation, this is where I'm expecting price to find resistance and then to send it lower to what create the low of the week. So that's all nice. Check out the 4 hour again. Price nicely running on higher. Clear bearish order block and breaker, high, low, higher, high, lined up with that consequent encroachment. And again, this is the open of that bearish order block. So definitely pay close attention to this little consolidation we've got going on over there. We'll finish on the 1 hour. Again, clear consolidation, but we're looking to see can price just travel on higher and reach into our premium to then send it lower to then potentially have another reversal later on in the week. So I hope that all makes sense, guys. Basically, I'm looking for up close weeks on pound and euro, whilst down close weeks on dollar. However, in terms of how it's going to deliver, and I will draw it out for you guys, I wouldn't be surprised if, again, on dollar specifically, if dollar creates a low and then decides to create the high of the week, and then on the back of news, whether that be CPI, PPI, continues on lower. So we need to be aware that this may be forming, because it is typical for price to just trade on higher, create the high of the week, and then trade on lower. But I'm very cautious of price, because I know that it may want to create a false low to engineering liquidity, then go for the high maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then we see the bigger reversal. So that's going to be everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Smash subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, join the Discord, join the mailing list, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.